Hi there, welcome to my channel where I take you on tours of creative homes and showcase stories of people living alternatively. Today we're going to take a tour of a military truck that the owner has converted into his off-grid home on wheels. And unlike most nomadic tiny homes, this dwelling can go just about anywhere. Apollo's military vehicle is big enough to drive through rivers while being small enough to navigate through the city. And make sure you stick around all the way through this tour because he has some one-of-a-kind features that you're not going to want to miss. And if you like videos like this one where we showcase stories of people living alternatively in creative homes, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know every single time we publish a new video.
Hello, my name is Apollo, and welcome to my mobile command center. So I lived in this, I think actually a year now. Before I moved into this, I was living in a 3,000 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3-bath house that I was renting. And I've seen tiny houses here and there, and I was always like, wow, I mean, that seems really cool. It's like small and it has everything that you need and you don't have to be wasteful and have all this extra crap. And I finally came across a place where I could buy one of these that would already had a title, and I didn't have to go buy it from auction and wait a year. So I went and bought it, and I had it sitting in my driveway, and I took a couple of days and planned out everything how I wanted to build it. It took me about 36 days to do everything from building the interior of the box, doing all the solar panels. I also had to do a couple of repairs on the truck. Here's all the fun facts for you. It was 468 hours of labor and 36 days in my driveway. And then there was 942 items that got installed on the truck. And there was 145 combined orders. I had a 2-car garage, and half the garage was filled to the ceiling with packages and just all kinds of shit that I couldn't believe. The magic number for everything, including the truck, I think I'm somewhere between 105 and 110,000. And the truck itself, when I bought it, was 40,000, like 500. And then I had to put about $5,000 or $10,000 worth of upgrades and repairs into it. And welcome to my mobile command center. This is a M1079, 1998. The outside of this vehicle, I kept completely military, except for just a couple of little things and my phone antenna up there, because I want it to be inconspicuous. And I know inconspicuous might be kind of a joke with a vehicle this big. The only thing I did to the cab was I added like 400 pounds of sound matting because it's just god-awful loud and sweaty. But now it's not so bad. And I changed the seats out. I went to the junkyard, and for $75, I got 2 seats out of BMW. And it's much nicer than sitting on the plywood seats that they give you from the military. And then if you go up in there and look, I'll go on the other side. The dash and everything is just OE military because it's great to be able to come in here and spray it out with a pressure washer if it gets dirty instead of having to care about keeping it nice and clean. I did also put my 2 chainsaws, mostly which are used for work, but there also have been some times where I come back to my camping spot on my motorcycle and there's a couple of trees falling across the road on the way, and I have to eventually cut them to get out of where I am. So that comes in handy a lot. These are just the stock military tires. I think it's 46 inches is what they are. They don't last very long, I will say that. I think they're like 400 pounds. I should know because I had to change all 4 of them on the side of the road in Colorado when I had 2 blowouts. I think it was 6 or 7 hours changing all the tires. When they're on the ground, it's not a big deal, but to get the spare off, it has a lift and everything. This is just a coolant bottle and an air filter, and that's the snorkel. And these are just shackles for if I get a piece of equipment stuck, or if I get this stuck, I have something to tie my big tow straps off to, which are in the cab. So basically you can go to water all the way below the intake of that snorkel with this truck, which I've seen videos of people do, but My limit is about right here because I don't want any water to go inside the box, which is also why I didn't mount anything below the box, because I have been in water that deep before. And then on this side, I added my toolbox, which I keep a small fuel pump in, and then some oils, and this is basically my spare parts kit. I have all kinds of different nuts and bolts and extra bits and pieces for inside. And then I got a 5-gallon jerry can that sits in here. It is mostly just used for my generator, which is up top, which also has another 5 or 6-gallon can. So I didn't do anything special to the front end because, as I said, I wanted to leave it looking military. It's just the normal Cat 3116 diesel engine, straight 6-cylinder, and Allison transmission. It only does about 55 miles an hour from the military is the top speed, so you can really only do about 52 with your foot welded to the floor the whole time. So I changed the gears and the differentials, and now I can do 60 relatively easily. The top speed is now like 72, but it doesn't, unless you're going downhill, it doesn't like to do that. So the gas mileage is comparable to most RVs. I normally get about 8.5 miles to the gallon. All right, so there is actually a couple additions up here. This box over here is basically all of the tree climbing gear that I have. So all of my harnesses, my ropes, and my flip lines and stuff is all in here. There's a Mr. Cool mini split system in here. I think it's the 12,000 BTU. It works fantastic. I have a Honda EU 2200 generator and a 6-gallon auxiliary tank over in this bay over here. I got 6 solar panels up here. There's 1,200 watts total. So I built a tilting array. It tilts up like this, and I have the stilts for it in the back of the truck, that when I park in a spot for more than a couple days or whatnot, I'll lift them up so I get more power, and it does make a big difference. You get about 50% more. So like if I sit in a parking lot or if I sit in an open spot like this for a day, I'll get like 5 or 6 kilowatts generated, and if I tilt it, it'll be like 8 or 9. If you're gonna build your own, I definitely recommend you have a way to tilt your solar panels. I have a motorcycle inside, which I haven't seen anybody else do before. They always have a hitch mount. And I first started out with doing a hitch mount, but it's a pain in the and the bike weighs like 500 pounds. So I got rid of that real quick, and I put a winch up there, and I put a tire chock in here, and then I came up with a home-built ramp system, if you will. And the whole reason I have a motorcycle is because when I go look at projects, or if I want to go to a store, it's much faster and easier. These are basically all parts from the motorcycle hitch rack that I did have that I figured out how to repurpose. There is a bit of assembly required, which is the only unfortunate part. The winch ties onto the handlebars back here and lets it down the ramps I got. All right, so now that you've seen the outside, come inside. The whole premise of my build was to keep things as simple as the military built this truck. By the way, there's quite a bit of stuff in here from IKEA. The cabinets are from IKEA, the lighting is from IKEA, the wardrobe is from IKEA, the bed frame and the bed and the sheets and my pillow are also from IKEA. Oh, and the speakers are from IKEA. This video is brought to you by IKEA. This is just a plain old sink from Home Depot. I had a water system set up where this is like a separate thing from my main water tank. And if you look over here, there's 3 5-gallon kegs. And I would put fresh drinking water that I knew was clean in there for sure, because sometimes I would fill up my main tank with water that was just from a lake or whatever. And I used that for a while, but it was mostly just a pain in the butt, so I just kind of disconnected that, and I just run everything through this one now. And then I got my lovely college dorm Frigidaire over here. And then I have also a storage spot underneath here where I mostly just keep my shoes. Although I live in a truck, I don't dress like a bum. I have enough utensils for no reason to accommodate 4 people when there's only ever been like 2 people in here at the most. And they're all from IKEA. And then I also have my wonderful 3 sets of IKEA knives. Yes, thank you, IKEA. You can see all these holes that I used to have on the front of my cabinets because I've been through about 4 different ways of trying to secure my cabinet doors from opening while driving. And what I've ended up with so far is like these little cabinet sash or window sash locks. I have one burner because basically ever since I've been living on my own, I've only ever just used one pan while I've been cooking. I just stuck with a one-place cooktop, and it also gave me more space over here to cut stuff up. This is my workstation. And like I said before, I call this my mobile command center because I mostly work out of it. I'll go camp somewhere near my job site, and then I can either ride my motorcycle to work or I'll just walk to work. And it saves a heck of a lot of time because I used to drive every day from where I lived, and I drove about 80,000 miles a year. I saved myself about 1,200 hours of drive time every year by doing this. Basically, no matter where I'm at, I have phone and internet service, Starlink for internet, and my WeBoost for phone. So starting over here, there's a Victron 3000 inverter, and then my charge controller and a distributor, and my fuse and breaker panels, and then there's 600 amp hour Battleborn batteries underneath here. And then I got my Sonos subwoofer, which is excellent, and my 6-gallon hot water heater, which works perfect. Most of the time it's not even on, I just turn it on when I'm gonna take a shower. Underneath here is a 65-gallon freshwater tank, and this is my very high-tech level indicator right here. So you can just see what the level is at rather than having some electronic system tell you that it breaks all the time. This is my freshwater drinking system like I told you about earlier. 3 of them, and each one of them are 5 gallons. So 15 gallons of water plus the 65. And then underneath here is my gray water tank, and that's the drain point right here. It's 75 gallons. Instead of having a dresser with all the tall drawers and everything and only having like 3 or 4 drawers, I decided to go with the toolbox because the drawers are much lower profile, and that's normally about how much you use in a dresser anyways. And then with the bigger drawers, you can have all that stuff bouncing all over the place while you're driving. And these, basically everything's filled to the top of the drawer, so there's no movement. In here is just all of my long clothes, like jackets, nice shirts, suits, stuff like that. So my shower over here is very simple. I just had some pieces of aluminum bent up by a metal shop, so I wasn't taking up a bunch of extra space with thick walls and all that stuff. And the bottom is purely a catch pan. It'll hold about 5 gallons. So when I'm done taking a shower, I use my pump here and pump all the water out into my gray tank, and there's a pigtail in here for the power to this. My shower kind of doubles as a storage spot for stuff that I'm not using. And this is my lovely toilet. So gotta have the shower door locked so it doesn't come flying open when I'm driving. So this is just the normal remote control MAXX Airfan that everybody puts in, and it is a necessity because it does help with keeping the air moving. I chose to have a lifting bed because it gave me the most room when I was in here during the day and the best size bed. So when I'm not sleeping, I can lift the bed up out of my way and I can still have all this room for work in, and I can still sit over here and look out and have my view rather than there being a bed in here somewhere that doesn't move. So all of my computer screens are held on by a couple of strips of Velcro because otherwise they too will fling all over the place. You can go like that. This is my bed setup. I put a couple of strips of lighting down each side just for effect. The reason I put the standing desk over here, as you can see, when I'm laying in bed, I can watch movies or my evening entertainment or whatever. That was the only reason I put that in here. I've never been the kind of guy that just stays in one place all the time. I mean, like I said in my history, I always move jobs or move locations or whatever. So this is just kind of fun. I can stay in one spot for a week or a couple of weeks, and then when I'm done, it's see you later. So I'm planning on doing this for, I think, another 2 years. I have another truck that I just bought at auction that's 6-wheel drive instead of a 4-wheel drive, so it's much larger. And that will give me all the storage space that I could possibly need for working and for all of my personal stuff. If you ever thought about doing it, do it, because it is great. I love it.
Thanks for watching this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more military or other conversion type tiny homes, you can check out our playlist in the description, and I will see you soon with another unique home tour.